Hi, everyone at home. We've got John Baxter live, your host here, John Baxter. We're going over the Buzz News. So get the buzz here, get all the information you need in regards to what's happening in the world in regards to human health, technology, stress, and interviews with really important people. I've got a special guest today, so hang tight. We'll probably get to him in about 10 or 15 minutes. But Dr. Mike Van Thielen, he's going to go over his book, EMR, just an amazing book about all the things you can do to protect yourself from EMF. And I'll cover some of his amazing bio before I introduce him. So I'm really excited about that. But a lot of stuff's going on, guys. This is not CNN. This is PPN, right? This is a First Amendment censor-free network. I can bring special guests on board, talk about whatever we want to talk about. And that's the news, guys. That's the buzz that we're talking about. People have been censored all around the country and the world about getting information, the truth out. And that's what we're here to do. So, with that exciting lineup today with Dr. Mike Van Thielen, if you're in Florida, which I am, my studio is not all the way set up because of internet and that type of thing. So, bear with us here. We've got an exciting show. And I want to go over a couple of events that are going on this next month here shortly. We've got our Health and Freedom Summit in Orlando, Florida. We've got Dr. Mercola there, Dr. McCullough, just October 6th to the 8th in Orlando, Florida. Orlando is going to be hot this next month. There's so many things going on here in regards to these events as far as anti-aging bed, health technology. We've got the Faena Hotel in Miami. So if you live in Miami, want to see the product, you can go to a Four Seasons in Miami and see the anti-aging bed. The Four Seasons. This is where the basically the top athletes and these types of people that really care about their health, people that go see doctors to do stem cells, all that stuff started in South Florida, guys. We're right in the mix. We're right in the mix. Faena Hotel. This is an amazing hotel. I was blown away. But there's a wellness summit there. If you're into the types of holistic health, breathing, meditation, yoga, that's for you. Of course, we've got Dr. Fab's Inner Circle here in Orlando, Florida, 13th and 14th. We've got our Biohacking Congress in Miami at Trump Doral, October 23rd, 24th. Troy Casey, the certified health nut, will be there with me. So we'll be at our booth, Anti-Aging Bed. There's an after party. You want to know us. You want to get more involved with some of the technology that we put out there. Come to Miami, hit us up, use the link. I'm going to start posting in the chat for some of this stuff here during the show. And if you're in Florida, play it safe. Play it safe. It hasn't hit completely here yet, but I was told last night, lots of fear online. You don't need to worry about, probably as much as they say. If you're inland here in Orlando, Florida, nothing's happened yet. If you're on the coast, buckle down. It's going to be a wild ride. So today we're talking about the dangers of EMF. Like I said, Dr. Van Thielen is a pioneer in this research. I'll call Dr. Mike Van Thielen one of my personal mentors as a health coach. And also, I believe he's the leading pioneer in biohacking. The books prove it. And we'll cover some of this stuff. But today I want to cover a couple topics. I wanted to show to you guys a video in regards to ants, right? EMFs have been very prevalent. And just to show to you, I'd like to show you a video in France. Some top scientists chose anti-aging bed to offer some technology. And I thought it'd be important to share this video. You can watch firsthand, and I'll narrate it. The impact of Wi-Fi even on ants and bugs. This is part of the problems why birds and bees and all these animals are affected by EMFs as well. I'm going to do a share screen here. If I can find it. There it is. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's watch this video, guys.
Devient anormal. Regardez,
Now,
par exemple,
she is
celui-ci.
speaking
Sa démarche est
in
anormale.
France.
Elle hésite, elle
So
va à
she's
droite, elle
showing
va à
how
gauche.
these ants,
Elle a des
under the
difficultés de
influence
bouger les pattes.
of the
Et même les
Wi-Fi,
antennes
are
deviennent
kind of moving in
anormales.
circles.
Si
They
vous
don't really
regardez
have a
cette autre
direction.
fourmi,
They
voyez
don't
que
know
ses
where they're
antennes
going,
recourbent
per
un peu
se.
vers l'arrière. On
They're
observe
just
ça
kind
en
of
cas de
falling
grande
all over
sécheresse,
each
par
other.
exemple. C'est donc
Later,
un
you
état
see
de
that they
stress qui
start
chez l'homme
dying
peut
from ionizing
correspondre à de la
radiation.
fatigue, à une
Quickly, they
irritabilité
don't
à
know
des
where
maux
the
de
food
tête.
is
Il
at.
faut
They don't
se
know
protéger.
where a lot of
Lorsque
these
le
things
Wi-Fi
are
est en
at,
fonctionnement,
and it's even
le champ
measured. I'm going to
électromagnétique au niveau
show
des
later
fourmis
on in this
passe à
show
500 millivolts par mètre,
that
c'est-à-dire 60 fois la mesure
the Wi-Fi is totally destructive to these insects. Now we have our technology next to the Wi-Fi machine. So it's the circular ball, some of our technology. We can measure our gauge to show that as well. But as you can see, technology can counterbalance other technology to reduce the issues of EMF. So that was a sensitive little ant. And what they say with ants and bees is they have magnetite. I have magnetite on my wrist today. Magnetite is actually in our pineal gland, and it helps us sense where we're going. On the power grid, which is the Earth grid system. That's how ants and bees navigate. Bees fly all over the place in a radius, and they can always find their home. And it's because they have magnetite in their system. We have it in our pineal gland, but that allows bees to navigate through their GPS. Any strong interference, per se, Wi-Fi, radio towers, basically pull the electromagnetic sense of the bee and the ant, and they can't travel home. They might even think the cell tower is home because of the electromagnetic pull. So realize there's some dangers out there. You know, I have a book here. I was gifted this book. It's The Shadow Side of the Wireless Revolution. This was opened up, and this article and this magazine has just citations and citations since 2009 about the negative consequences all around us, the environment, people, the devastation that EMFs cause, and it's just getting more strong. And all of the technologies out there are increasing. More electromagnetic frequency is hitting us, and it's super powerful. And on the technology side of things, you're going to see things called millimeter wave technology. So if you're not familiar with millimeter wave technology, this is the technology found at airports, right? This is a weaponized technology. This technology, when you walk through it, impairs, and and it actually, they could just slightly change that frequency, and it could be deadly. So realize there's a lot of negative technology out there, but also one of my favorite scientists out there, Dr. Leonard Horowitz, who founded an ancient tune, 528 hertz. On the flip side of frequency, of course, there's a positive frequency, the frequencies that heal the body or help the body heal itself, right? Quote from Albert Einstein: the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies, right? So realize in this spectrum, we've got two different frequencies. One can be good, just like Star Wars, good and bad. Good frequencies can outweigh negative frequencies, which I shown you earlier with the ants. But also realize, some of the stuff that we see nowadays with frequency can be used with sound, harmonics, Schumann resonance of the earth. these are real topics. And some of this stuff can be learned about online. A couple of things you can look at and research is semantics. The semantics is basically a long time ago, they couldn't prove frequency created patterns. And so what they did was they took a metal plate, they threw sand on the plate, and they started playing musical instruments near that plate. And guess what? Due to the different sound and frequencies, different patterns would form. And that formulated a lot of the healing technology that we know today, including Tesla plasma, right frequencies, these types of things that are super and ultra important. But today's topic, we're going to talk to Mike Van Thielen here. And I'm going to give you some of his credentials before he jumps on. He's a doctor of holistic nutrition, doctor of oriental medicine, licensed physical therapist, licensed acupuncture physician, some amazing stuff. He has written 9 books, folks. Some of the most popular books is called the User Manual, right? He created a user manual for the body. That's why I call him the original biohacker. This was well over a decade ago, before biohacking even had a name, right? Optimize Your Immune System. During COVID, he released that book. That was a top hit. In the book that we're going to talk about today is EMR, The Invisible Threat. EMR, we're going to have him on here. Also, I'd like to say, he is a keynote speaker, and he's a world record holder. He walks the walk, talks the talk with health. So definitely a world record holder. I'm going to bring Mike on right now.
Hello, John.
What's up, Dr. Mike? How you doing?
Oh, we're good. We're staying dry, so everything good so far, John.
Staying alive over here, so that's good. So let's talk about some things here. Any updates on your end?
Updates regarding what, John?
Anything you'd like to share about the topic today or yourself? I gave you an introduction.
There's obviously a lot to share. I like the little video with the ants. That's been proven over and over again. Even elephants in Asia, they're migrating in the wrong direction. So a lot of the animals, they don't finding their homes because of our interference with those electromagnetic frequencies. So that was very interesting to show, John. But no, otherwise, you can ask me as many questions as you want. Obviously, the book was a bestseller on Amazon. I think it explains a lot about what those frequencies are, but mostly it gives us solutions to shield ourselves and minimize the exposure to those dangerous frequencies, so we can keep up with our health and prevent disease and cancer. And so I know many people, especially those with a conventional medicine background, as I used to have, they're very skeptic when they can't see, hear, feel, or touch things, right? So when they can't see, feel, hear, or touch things, they think it doesn't exist. But for those people that doubt the electromagnetic radiation and its negative effects on our human body, you simply can go to, and this is a really good source, John, for everybody, emf-portal.org/en if you want English. So that's emf-portal.org/en. There's over 30,000 peer-reviewed, published scientific studies from all over the world, showing that not only ionizing radiation, which we know, X-rays, gamma rays, yes, they're harmful, but we're not exposed to them all the time, very infrequently, in fact, but that non-ionizing radiation, which is our appliances, TV, radio, and now especially our Bluetooth devices, wireless devices, laptops, computers, and mostly our cell phones, that is non-ionizing radiation was assumed harmless for decades. But now the consensus in the science world is that this non-ionizing radiation also causes damage on a DNA level. While the ionizing radiation, such as X-rays, gamma rays, they have a very high frequency, they are able to directly damage our DNA, The non-ionizing radiation is not as strong, so it doesn't do it directly, John, but it does it indirectly. And that's what the science consensus is. And actually, they found out how it does it too. So if you like, I'll explain that too. It's a little bit more scientific, but the facts are out there.
Basically, so basically, these EMF waves come in that are dangerous, and it's damaging the DNA. Can you go over why? We saw in the video that the ants are kind of moving around, kind of confused. I mean, that looks like all of us under the radiation. We may not be aware of it in some capacity, but basically, you did a good job explaining like how ionizing radiation works. But like, let's cover that one more time. Like, what is EMF, and
Yes.
how does that go all the way to damaging your DNA?
Yeah, good question. So EMF is all our electromagnetic frequencies. And like you said before, there's good frequencies. Mother Earth has many frequencies. The sun is electromagnetic spectrum. And again, certain frequencies are in sync with our body and they can be healing. However, the frequencies from our man-made devices are not. And again, a lot of people remember that little graph, the electromagnetic spectrum that we had to learn as a kid. On the left side of that graph, we see the long wavelengths, which are radios, TVs, antennas. And now we have to add Wi-Fi, computers, laptops to it, which was assumed not harmful. On the right end, we got the high frequencies or short wavelengths, which is the X-rays, gamma rays, which we always knew wasn't good for the body. But over the last few decades, especially with our G4 and now the G5 towers and our continuous search for better technology, and we all like the convenience of the technology, but nobody really is pointing out the possible detrimental effects on our health from this high-end technology, because we as human beings are not made to deal with this. So the way this works, John, is the electromagnetic radiation, right, basically opens up the what they call the voltage gate calcium channels. Now, everybody heard about calcium. Most of our calcium is located extracellularly outside of the cell, and a little bit of the calcium is inside the cell. Now, these voltage-gated calcium channels, they basically, with high sensitivity, control the influx of calcium into the cells, because it's very important that it's controlled properly. Now, electromagnetic radiation basically opens those calcium channels as floodgates, and we get an excess influx of calcium into our cells. So that's step number one, excess calcium in the cells. When that happens, we get an excess amount of superoxide and nitric oxide, and when nitric oxide and superoxide combine, they form a peroxynitrate. Now, peroxynitrate is a strong oxidant and breaks down in carbonyl free radicals. So here we are, free radicals. Now, carbonyl free radicals are actually a little bit worse than your average free radical in that they have a much longer half-life. In other words, they float around much longer and therefore can cause a lot more damage. So while ionizing radiation can cause direct effect to our DNA bonds and our cells, our non-ionizing radiation, appliances, TVs, radios, microwaves, cell phones, Wi-Fi's, Bluetooth devices, they do it indirectly but cause the same damage. However, the damage is much worse because we are exposed to these devices 24/7. And most people don't think about it because, again, we can hear them, smell them, feel them, so we think they don't exist, but they're causing a lot of damage. So when we go back to the ants, we can talk about what I like to call toxemia. In my opinion, there's only one cause of all disease, and it's toxemia. Toxemia means the toxins that are floating around in our body. Now, in a normal, healthy person, we obviously generate toxins as part of living, as part of our normal metabolism. But these toxins are then eliminated, from our body through the kidneys, the large intestine, our skin, etc. So when our body is able to remove the toxins, no harm is done. However, we are exposed to far more toxins than ever before. So when we ingest or are exposed to more toxins, then the body possibly can eliminate, then those toxins accumulate in our body. And that's what we call toxemia. Now, these toxins that can be eliminated because they're in abundance, they cause two major things in our body, John. Number one, they cause free radical damage because these toxins are going to steal an electron from a healthy atom, and that healthy atom now becomes unstable, and we call those free radicals. Now, free radicals can be good too because they're part of our immune system, they're scavengers, but when they're in excess, they cause damage on a cellular level exponentially. So free radicals. The second thing that those toxins do is they cause a constant state of emergency. And in conventional medicine, we call that systemic inflammation. And even according to conventional Western medicine, over 90% of all disease is now directly related to this systemic inflammation. For example, cardiovascular disease was regarded as a result of high cholesterol, which, by the way, always has been a big hoax. But now they recognize that cardiovascular disease is the result of this systemic inflammatory process that is chronic, systemic inflammation, right? So we have these toxins floating around causing free radical damage and systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation, the cause of all disease. Now, where do these toxins come from? Our man-made foods and drinks. They're loaded with toxins, chemicals, artificial sugars, flavorings, colorings, right? Number two, our prescription and over-the-counter medication. Those medicines are nothing but a pile of chemicals. They are fake copies of Mother Nature's medicines, and they cause a lot of trouble in our body, adding to toxemia. Number three, our environmental toxins. We talk about polluted water, polluted air, the exhaust fumes from our vehicles, the clothing fumes from our shower, and what we're talking about today, the ever-increasing invisible threat, electromagnetic radiation from all our Bluetooth devices and wireless devices. So when we put that all together, we get far more toxins in our body than our poor biological body can eliminate, and that's causing free radical damage and systemic inflammation. So we have weight gain, we have brain fog, we are always feeling tired, we're not strong, we're not vital, we get anxious, we get ADHD, we are depressed, and that's what's happening with those ants. We don't know what to do anymore. We don't know how to handle the situation. Our 5 intelligence hormones are out of whack. We can't focus. We can't get the job done. And here we are as a species, not in evolution, but in devolution. And so what we need to do, John, and you and your company has an amazing job, is we need to learn or educate people out there how to mitigate and how to protect us from this electromagnetic radiation. And we obviously came a far way, and we can teach people many things to mitigate those damaging effects.
So real quick, Dr. Mike, I know you want to get the message out there about your book because there's a lot of tips. Can you give us a couple of tips on what we can do at home, at the office to help mitigate? Go ahead and give us the rundown of how someone can mitigate this, or when they're dealing.
Yeah, no, great, John. And as you know, all my books are kind of do-it-yourself books with check-off boxes. We tell you what you can do so you can implement it, and it's an action plan. It's not just like, oh, here's the facts and now try to figure out yourself what to do. No, we give you the solutions. So when it comes to EMR or EMF, there's 4 steps, and ideally we kind of implement those in sequence because it's important. Step number 1, we have to try to reduce or mitigate the electromagnetic radiation in our house because that's where we live, that's where we sleep, right? So in the book, there's probably 100 things that you can do, but to give you a few examples, the best thing you can do is purchase an EMF meter and see where the electromagnetic radiation and the magnetic fields are, right? For example, your electrical outlets, some of them will leak dirty electricity. We can measure that. If they do, we can put a filter on those and prevent that. Many of our devices now are wireless. It behooves your health that we are not using those wireless devices, but actually in the house, when we can, because we do have outlets, we can plug them in with a 3-prong grounded and a shielded power cord. when it comes to the magnetic fields, we can find those hot spots. There's not much we can do about them, but we can avoid those. In other words, don't put your bed or your office chair right in a hot spot, because then you will get that radiation. Try to avoid the hot spots. Many other things. Your router, we all have a router. There's tools, for example, Faraday bags that we can put the router in that then prevent the radiation from the routers. When we use our phone, for example, there's many tips there. You know, the reverse law of Newton says the further the phone away from you, the further the distance, the less radiation. So we want to try to ideally use our cell phone on speaker and put it as far away as we can. We don't want to charge the phone next to us in the bedroom. Again, phone's too close to us and it's on because it's charging. If we don't use it, it would be beneficial to put it in airplane mode. If we are moving, John, meaning if we're in the car or if we're walking, it's better not to take or do calls, because when we're moving, we constantly need to get that signal searched again. So it takes a lot more radiation exponentially into our body coming to us if we're moving while we're talking or if we're driving. If we have low reception, in other words, only 1 bar or 2 bars versus 3 or 4, we will exponentially get 1,000 times more radiation to try to make that signal happen. And the list goes on and on and on. So there's many, many things we can do to reduce or mitigate the effects. That's step number 1 in the house. Step number 2, we need to prevent radiation coming into the house from outside of the house. So now we're talking about the smart meters that the local government or the city puts on the outside of your house. There's things we can do there. The neighbor and the neighbor's Wi-Fi, right? The power lines, whether they're underground or above ground, where are they, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to take those things in consideration. That's step number 2. Step number 3, John, is where you are the expert, because you have developed with your team many things that we can do to shield ourselves. So now that we mitigated the things in and around our house, it's time that we take care of ourselves. So as you know, you gave me a bed cover about 3 years ago when we had another podcast on something else. And I've been sleeping on that for almost 3 years. And so the bed cover is amazing because it is silver nanotechnology threading. And so it shields us from our EMR by basically generating a closed loop, right? So the electricity goes back to the grounding and takes the radiation or the harmful radiation with it. So people get very skeptical about those things, but I tell them, you know what? This can be measured. So you have your EMF meter, you measure the radiation, then you put your hand on the cover or you lay on the cover and you can read it's 0. So while you're sleeping, John, and I don't have to tell you, but your listeners, you know, that's hopefully 8 hours. So that's 30% of your life. You can block and shield yourself from this EMF radiation. But the bed cover does a lot more than that. It shields you from the radiation, but we plug it in, we ground it into the electrical outlet. And so the grounding feeds negative ions constantly to our body. And we know that negative ions, just like antioxidants, you know, counteract and neutralize those harmful free radicals. And then last but not least, there's some infrared into the cover, which increases microcirculations, helps you get into a better, deeper sleep so your body can replenish, recover, and regenerate. So why not try to biohack your body, recover your body, protect it from harmful radiation, and, you know, neutralize those free radicals while you're sleeping? You got to sleep anyways. So that's one of the most powerful things that I came across, John, is to be able to do that while you sleep, because, you know, if you have to take saunas and cold baths and go into a hyperbaric chamber and take supplements, that's all great stuff. And I do it, but it takes time during the day, right? And so if you can do things while you sleep, that's great. But besides the bed cover, we have the same fabric to put on your office chair, to put in the bed of your pets, because, you know, we talked about ants and bees, but your pets, your dogs, your cats, you know, they all are exposed to the same radiation, and it has the same detrimental effects, disease and cancer on them than it has on us. So have them sleep on that same material. We can use that material to put on our laptop. We can use it everywhere. There's even people that make clothing out of it. So they're always protected. Now, that's the extra step that I didn't take yet. But there's many things that we can do to mitigate those effects and shield ourselves from the remaining radiation. And step number 4, the last step, is whatever we can do to mitigate, there always will be some radiation still entering our body and causing damage. So we need to learn how we can repair the DNA that's been damaged, John. So those are the 4 steps.
Yeah, so it sounds like, the EMF shielding, we talked about technology, counterbalancing the negative consequences of technology. And we talked about getting a meter, knowing a meter, having a meter that you can measure, right? So, I was going to ask you really quick, I wanted to show you a demonstration, but is EMF sensitivity a real thing? Are there people out there suffering from EMF sensitivity that's being possibly misdiagnosed? Is there people out there that have chronic pain? I know you wrote a book on fibromyalgia. Like, is there any of those issues that could be actually EMF sensitivity and not what the disease they have?
Yes, and your regular doctor's not going to look or even think about this, John, because obviously, again, here we are. We can't see it, feel it, hear it, smell it, so it doesn't exist, right? So obviously, a lot more people get headaches, lightheadedness, and all those types of things. Many times it's, of course, lack of hydration, but again, this EMR exposure is exponentially. We're exposed more and more to these harmful frequencies, and therefore they're contributing to brain fog, fatigue, headaches, migraines, and hypersensitivity issues such as fibromyalgia and migraines. So you're 100% correct there. And if you look at the big picture, we just talked about it, all this EMR adds to toxemia, and the body cannot eliminate it. So we need to start mitigating it. Are we going to be in big trouble?
Well, I'd like to show you a demonstration really quick because, I was talking about grounding. Some of our technology is grounding, and even a more important, maybe even a more powerful subject would be EMF shielding, right? Because people all around hear of stories that technology, the people make technology claims that can't back it. A lot of us have seen these types of things on our cell phone.
Yes.
Is that even proven, and does it work? Can you prove that? Does it work?
Well, here's the thing, I'm not your IT guy. I'm not your manufacturer, but it's simple to find out if something works. You got the meter there. I recommend everybody's listening, go to my website. These are free resources. My website is MVT. It's right on the screen, mvtonline.com, or just typing biohackingunlimited.com. And if you go to the resources page, you have a drop down and it says EMR resources. Now, for those who are not familiar with meters, all the resources there are for free. It talks about everything we talked about today, where you can find it, but there's a PDF file in there that basically compares all those meters out there, compares on what they can do, how to use them. So for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about, do a little bit of small research on those meters, purchase yourself a meter that you can afford and have it with you. So when you go and you can measure the radiation on your body wherever you are, and you can see if these bed covers work. And so you have a gadget there, John. So if you go into a shop and you think, oh, maybe this gadget will help me with my phone and my radiation, very simple. Measure, without the gadget, then measure with the gadget. And if there's no difference, it obviously doesn't work. And if the radiation drastically declines, it might be something that may help you mitigate, the effects of radiation. So again, you can have opinions on certain gadgets and technologies, but it's simple. Measure and you'll know.
That's a perfect statement. And as far as measuring it, let me ask you, grounding versus EMF shielding, right? Grounding is anything that's close to ground, and EMF shielding, it appears that the highest level of grounding can shield you from more of the negative consequences of EMF, even pull the energy of the EMF through a conduit like a conductive cover and help dissipate and shield. Would that be true? Would that be
it's correct. And that's why your bed cover is so great, right? So first of all, we call it shielding, but by grounding and plugging it in, we basically have a closed circuit. And therefore, the dirty electricity, goes back and it takes the radiation with it. So you're less exposed to that radiation, and therefore we're shielding ourselves, from that radiation by closing the circuit. And again, I'm not an electrical scientist either, but I'm just listening to.
So on the bee, we just saw on the bees it was 600, and the 600 measurement was causing those ants not to even walk straight and die.
Yes.
I'm at 800 right now. It's 200 more than that video I just shot. I just want to show you by connecting to the meter and connecting to the cover. This technology, it's on hold here. There we go. And now it's running through my body, and by connecting to this cover, it goes to 0. I don't know if you could see that.
Yep. Now we see it.
Take
There's
it
a little
off.
glare, but it went from 800 something to 0.
Yeah, and now I'm touching it. It goes to 0. So by being in contact right here, I actually feel the energy. And so when the energy of the Wi-Fi hits my body, is it just streaming out through the cover?
Yeah, it's still entering your body, but it's also exiting your body because you just closed the circuit. And again, I'm certainly not a scientist to talk about electricity. I don't have any majors there. I just pick up things from people that are smarter than me. But what's important for me, John, I don't care how it works. It went from 800 to 0, period. I don't care how that works. It went from 800 to 0, and that's what I'm interested in if I want to, be in optimal health and protect myself from this harmful radiation.
Yeah, and you mentioned the calcium pathway, and I know, like, in certain things, is there anything that you could do if you reduce the amount of calcium in your body? Would that help reduce the negative consequences? Or
no, that's just the way the electromagnetic radiation basically indirectly can damage our DNA on a cellular level. So that has not directly to do with, more or less calcium would be worse. What we really need to do is avoid that EMR, but there's always going to be DNA damage. Now, we all know the story about free radicals and antioxidants. Antioxidants coming obviously from our fruits, our vegetables. So we're talking about vitamin C, D, we're talking about glutathione and all those types of powerful antioxidants, because what they do is they donate an electron to the free radical, so the free radical becomes stable again. The problem with that is, John, is once that antioxidant donates an electron, it becomes useless. It only can do that once. But recent research shows something very powerful that most people don't know, and I'd like to share that here on your show today, is that we actually have an innate DNA repair system. It's called the ARTD1 repair system, okay? Unfortunately, in most of us humans, that system does not work because that system requires fuel. And the fuel for that system is NAD+. Most people heard about NAD+. It's becoming like one of those household names in the biohacking world and in the supplement world. But NAD+ is necessary for our body to repair the DNA itself, right? So now it becomes crucial that we have optimum levels of NAD+ in our body. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we need to shield ourselves from EMF, because EMF drains the NAD+ reserves. Number two, we should use some or take some precursors to NAD+, which is tryptophan, is a precursor to NAD+ in minimal amounts. But the most important one, John, is niacin. Niacin basically inhibits NOx action, and NOx is the enzyme that breaks down NAD+. So we really, tryptophan and niacin will help improve our NAD+ levels. Another thing we can do, obviously, is take a high-quality supplement of NAD+, or get a regular IV, which is now available, of NAD+. But if we want our innate DNA repair system to work, we need NAD+, okay? Many ways. It's also in my book. Even this is in my book on how to get those levels up so your body can repair the damage that is done. Number two, there's another component or compound, substance called NADPH. Now, NADPH basically is the battery of your cells. Some people say, oh, no, Mike, it's the mitochondria. No, the mitochondria are the energy factories that produce ATP. but the battery is NADPH. Now, why is that important? We just talked about antioxidants, giving an electron to free radicals. But then, once the antioxidant gives it, it's done. It becomes useless. Now, what if there was an electron reservoir? And that's exactly what NADPH is. It's a reservoir, it's a battery, a reservoir of electrons. So your antioxidant gives an electron to a free radical and then takes or gets another electron from the reservoir and can continue to neutralize free radicals as long as we have enough electrons in that reservoir. So we need to also keep our NADPH levels up. We can do that several ways. Molecular hydrogen, or H2, is the most important or the most effective way to keep our NADPH levels up so it doesn't break down, right? We need the H of the NADPH. So obviously there's tablets out there you can put in water. There's also a very high-end molecular hydrogen filtration water systems that you can put into your house, which basically infuses your clean water with hydrogen. So by doing that, you keep your NADPH levels high. There's other ways of doing it. For example, stimulating your NRF2 pathway. You can do that with certain foods and vegetables, and the list goes on. So in short, we need to make sure to keep our NAD plus and NADPH levels in our body high so we can repair our own DNA. And in the book, it goes in detail on how you can do that and implement that yourself. So that's very important. Fourth step, after shielding ourselves and mitigating all the sources of EMR, is that we repair our DNA in various effective ways, John.
So one of the things I was going to say is, like, the people I have on my show are offering a service to humanity. I put a link in the settings in the chat box below. As far as your free book that you're offering everyone to get the information out. So I've put the link in below. Can you tell me if someone wants to learn more, where would they go? How would they find you? And tell any events that you're doing.
Yeah, again, if you put the link down there, I told you, John, that everybody that's listening want a free copy of the book. We can, if they put in their email, we email a PDF. That way you don't have to purchase it. Of course, my books are available on Amazon, but my website, which is listed mvtonline.com, if you go to the About Dr. Mike page, there's drop-down boxes. One of them is author. And so all my books, 7, 8, or 9, I don't remember, John, they're there. And obviously, those are links directly to the hardcovers or the paperbacks for those people who'd rather have a copy in their hand. Otherwise, my biohacking app should be out next week. Apple keeps kicking it back with IT issues, but that app's going to be available for free download soon, so keep checking the website. I will be speaking at the Biohacking Congress in Miami on October the 22nd, Saturday. I think is at the Trump National or what? Where is it?
At a Trump Hotel in Miami.
But you can do that. I think I talk at 10:20 or 10:40 on Saturday morning. I have 40 minutes of keynote speaking, and I will talk about scaling biohacking, and I also will talk about our sleep technology and healing at home. How you can do that effectively. And today we briefly touched upon the bed cover that is so important, mostly because it works. It does 3 things at once. And at the same time, we don't have to spend time during the day to get this done. We can do it while we sleep. So those are the exciting things coming up, John.
Well, thank you so much. It was great to have you on today, Mike. Stay safe in the hurricane. And
everybody in Florida, stay safe. If you need swim lessons last minute, I'm right here. And otherwise, we're going to try to avoid swimming. But thanks for having me on, and I'll be happy to come back anytime you need me, John.
I'll probably take you up on the swimming lessons for sure. I don't have access to another world champion to learn from. So
there you go.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mike Van Thielen. There you have it. Get his information below, and we will go from there. So here it is. Get the Buzz News. I've got some other information I'd like to share to end this show today. I'd like to share another video in regards to some top people, in the environmental situation that are going to talk about the issues with 5G's EMF. I'm going to do a screen share here and going to hit this video on bees, butterflies, all types of good information.
We've known certainly that electromagnetic fields have affected trees. We've gone on the studies in Spain by Dr. Alphonse Balmori in the last few decades, where he's been looking at the effect on storks or on house sparrows. These birds that enjoy sharing the urban environment with us and have been perfectly capable of doing that over centuries and eons, are now showing great declines in the number of bird species. There's even studies on the migration of birds that show that birds have a naturally occurring, as all life does, amount of magnetite that allows them to sort of follow the ley lines of the earth. The geomagnetic field of the earth is how they migrate over great distances, and that these unnatural fields are in fact deflecting them off of their migratory patterns, their migratory routes, and in some cases drawing them right into the towers, which leads in many cases to bird strikes and bird deaths when they hit the guy wires of the very large telecommunications towers. Frogs, with recent studies done by Alphonse Balmori in Valladolid, Spain, he put Faraday cages over one tank of tadpoles or eggs, in this case frog eggs, within 140 meters of an antenna, and then left the other tank with the frog eggs out fully exposed to electromagnetic fields. And as the eggs hatched, he watched the development of the tadpoles, and the ones that were protected by the Faraday cage showed completely normal development. The ones that were out in the open, exposed to electromagnetic fields, showed poor form development. Some actually outright died, and others just never really got up to the actual energy and speed that the other tadpoles developed.
So there we have it. Some more information, from a third party talking about the negative consequences. I call it geopathic stress. It's just more layers of stress. Dr. Mike talked about toxemia. That's a great understanding of how this is all happening and how it impacts. It's just another layer that adds more crap in the way from your body to do what it was naturally God-given right to do, was to help heal itself. It knows how to heal itself, and technology, like our patented technology, an anti-aging bed, proven EMF shielding, like we showed you in the video, proven EMF shielding. Haven't seen it anywhere else. That's important. It's the next level of grounding. Patents that supersede any other type of grounding product with EMF shielding included, because that truly is the highest level. When it appears, when you make direct contact, and the loop in that connects, it's an actual number, and that meter that you see, it doesn't matter if it's your own meter, it's going to prove the same thing I just showed you. So just cool stuff today. Loved having Dr. Mike Van Thielen on. More important guest. As we have more shows, we're always going to get better, improve our audience, and of course, offering you guys information that would otherwise likely be censored is important to me. We're all in this together, and it's important that we have the information we need. Spoke about it on another podcast, but even on this one, great quote: "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter." That's Dr. Martin Luther King. That's why this is an important network. It's the last censor-free network that you're going to see out there, and we stick behind our word. So I'm really proud to be a part of this network. And my next show is going to come up on Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got Anti-Aging Bed at Dark. We've got an interesting show. We're going to talk about wands. We're going to talk about, we're going to break it down for everyone on PPN to get the facts, the truth about the wand. So if you're interested in that, you're going to see the valuable information that you weren't hearing because we just haven't talked about it. It's not a big deal to us. Our technology supersedes other technologies. So it's important to know that I'm an inventor and I improve upon technology. And that's how a lot of this technology came to be. But enough of that. You know, if you're in Florida, stay safe. Love you guys very much. Thank you for joining John Baxter Live. And until next time, stay involved. You can find me anti-aging bed. Just look for anti-aging bed @ doesn't matter. Gab, Getter, Clout Hub, Truth Social, all the major networks, even the censored networks, YouTube, all of those. Come check me out. We've got a lot of information that we want to share with you guys. So guys, have a great day. What's left of it, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys.